Customer experience.
Customer experience.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah. They're not users. You know, hospitality.
They aren't. That's all right. Thank you very much for the introduction. It's an honor to be here, share the stage with you for a moment.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Kick it off.
Okay. Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I'm going to invite our speakers up to the stage. I've had the distinct pleasure of attempting to read 2 books this year in the last week. New personal best. Haven't gone through all of them yet, but this is something I've been really looking forward to and unpacking. This is what I do every single day, is understand how to manage, how to drive, how to facilitate innovation in a new industry for me, which is hospitality. And these guys have been doing that for decades and have actually written books about it. So I'm in deep admiration. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. So I'd love to bring up Garki Wong first. Where are you, Garki? Fantastic. The author of The Art of Public Strategy. Garki has over 10 years of experience.
am I standing?
Make yourself comfortable.
All right.
We'll get into it. Garki's got over 10 years experience working in many different industries, driving business innovation, and really gathering the momentum around the organization to solve really difficult problems and to tackle it in really structured and methodical ways. She's written a fantastic book that has been represented in many different industry events. I got here, if I can remind myself, Design Management Institute and other industries, really celebrating the work and the thinking that's gone into this. For those of you interested in frameworks, this is your good one, right? And then second, I'd love to invite up Gianluca Cicapalmi. Much like my last name, you look at it and you freak out, but it's actually not that hard to pronounce. The Art of Creative Leadership. This is a fantastic read where you get to really reconnect with yourself and what it means to be the one driving innovation. And how do you actually lead innovation authentically? And how do you step into this new paradigm of leadership where in the past we had to be experts to be leaders, right? We had our craft, we had our vertical, we had our 10 years of experience. This one is about how do we step into the unknown and how do we actually lead as explorers into the uncertainty and unknown. Gianluca has many different innovation studios that are really quite award-winning. He mentors, he advises, 10 of the top 100 businesses in the world. He is a former chief of department at SCAD here in Hong Kong. So warm welcome to both of them. So real quick show of hands, just to understand what's happening in the audience. How many of you guys work with innovation in your daily do? Oh, come on, there's way more of you. Does anybody do anything creative in their work?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Does anybody do anything collaborative in their work?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Does anybody seek to inspire others in their work? Yeah. Okay, so why didn't you all raise your hand when I asked you if you do anything innovative, right? How many of you find innovation, creativity, collaboration, or inspiration really clearly focused? You know exactly what you're doing and exactly how to do it every single day. Okay, all right, excellent. We'll be talking to you too. And fantastic. How many of you guys find it a little bit sticky? Highs and lows, ups and downs, a few lefts and rights along the way? Excellent. Okay, we're all in the same boat, and I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with our two here. So, Garki, let's start with you. Just warm us up really briefly,
Sure.
really quickly.
Hello.
Hello. Mic test, mic test. How do you define innovation, and what is it that brought you to the table to write this book in terms of actually trying to solve the problems of innovation? What did you observe that sparked this?
Sure. Well, I think, so for me, what I talk about in the book is something called focused innovation. So I think to those maybe 2 people that raise their hands, a lot of times it can seem like a very fuzzy thing because the outcome of design is something that is maybe something beautiful and people don't really know what goes on behind it. And what I was really interested in and kind of what I started like this passion project with this book is exploring that idea of how can we make it more rigorous, how can we kind of structure it better so that people who maybe don't come from a design background can understand what the value is.
Excellent. And how about you, Gianluca? What brought you to the table to write The Art of Creative Leadership?
I don't know.
Oh, that's fair enough. You did it though.
I didn't know. So
you didn't know.
I don't know. I still don't know.
Okay.
I wrote the book because I wanted to think about this project, this process, and I couldn't name it properly. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna start writing and thinking about this subject that to me is very dear. It's like, why so many organizations succeed? Why so many fails? What is the driver? Is it the product? Is it the processes? Is it the people? Is it the leadership? I ended up most of the time to focus on this kind of leadership. I said, oh, actually, the most innovative organizations, they also have innovative teams. And these innovative teams make innovative products. And these innovative products are led by different people. And so innovation to me is a difficult one because a lot of people have, like, I mean, if we ask the definition to 10 people here, they will give you 10 different things. The thing that I know for sure is not technology. Technology is a byproduct. And to me, innovation falls into two parts. There are two kinds of innovation. You have disruptive innovation, which is solving problems that previously didn't exist. Actually, identifying the problem and solving the problem that previously didn't exist. Or incremental innovation, which is solving the same problems better, faster, and cheaper than the available solutions, the current available solutions.
Excellent. And you guys have both taken a very different approach to how we start, right? And kind of where we start from. What's interesting, though, is you both ended up with art in the title, right? And my background is actually in the sciences. So I studied global health of all things, and now drive innovation. And the concept of rigor and methodology and things is a very big part of our innovation practice. And kind of before we talked about that. Why did you both land on art as the frame? And what is the tension between the art and the science of innovation?
Do you want to start, or do you want?
Sure. I mean, I'm an engineer by training, mechanical, and I was taught that there was only one solution, and it's the one that solves the problem. And then I actually met 2 weeks ago Don Norman, which was my personal hero, and his book changed my view. And it was, there is no one solution. There are many possible solutions. So the difference between art and science, there is this wonderful book that is called The Art of Strategy, of all things, that says the difference between art and science, that science can be learned and implemented in a pragmatic and systematic way. You can learn in a pragmatic and systematic way. So if you need to learn math, you need to know what the number is, arithmetic, and then you go all the way down to abstraction. While expertise in the arts needs to be experimented, practiced, and shared. No? It's not something you can learn in a linear way. It's a practice. And so I believe, if I can say, as design practitioner, we also recognize that there is no secret formula. There is no one size fits all. So you need to be articulating your...
Ooh, I like that. Art.
You like that one,
Wow.
don't you?
And Gorky, for you, you're speaking to like the craftsmanship, right? And this kind of balance between the discipline of experimentation and learning and reflecting, as well as the really tangible need to push strategic objectives and to win, right, on whatever horizon line that is. Gorky, from your perspective, the balance of art and science, as a practitioner deep embedded in corporate financial services, whatever it might be, how have you found that balance personally?
So I think for me, and I'm going to add like another variable here, but I'm going to add the variable of impact. So when you think about impact, if you are speaking to like people who are already bought into, let's say, the creativity and the innovation and all of that, then your impact is actually very little because they've already bought in. Challenge with financial services, especially insurance, something that's, not, let's say, like the most innovative. When you're there and you're fighting for those ideas, I think, and then maybe like one or two of them go through, the impact is much greater. So to me, I think about art and science as, well, where is there already a lot of art and where can we bring the rigor to help people understand? If it's very scientific or financial or what have you, where can we bring the creativity? That's how I like to think about it.
It's a beautiful balance because you then are creating pull, right? You're almost swimming against the current of the dominant paradigm today to create enough tension to spark something new, right? I love to talk about creative friction. We purposefully need there to be tension in some practice in order for us to think differently or to be challenged differently. Before diving kind of further into the conversation, I'd actually love to introduce the meat of the frameworks that you guys present. Give everybody an opportunity to take a photo of it, but also to give them a little bit more context around what we're talking about and grounding. I think Garki, I'm going to go Garki first with traces here, page 59, for those of you who need the reference. This is your dominant framework, this is a wealth of great frameworks, but this one really is a winner that helps you explore kind of like, it's the antidote to the SWOT analysis, right?
Correct.
Can you walk us through it?
Yeah, so one of the arguments that I make in the book is that, it's 2025, we're coming into 2026, right? And a lot of times, at least like even for myself and my husband, we're like freaking out about like the new functions on a microwave. We're using that, we're using that 1980, yeah, exactly. So we're using this 1980s, 1990s mindset to deal with 2026 problems. And so, Pestle, SWOT, a lot of these tools and these frameworks that businesses use were for the industrial age. Like, they're about factories, they're nothing about like they're nothing about, the issues that we're actually facing in context today. So I wanted to adapt that. I think like at like any designer, right, you just kind of start fiddling with things. You're like, well, what fits the current context? And so what I ultimately came up with is TRACES, which stands for technical debt, regulatory changes, audience shift, competition, economic trends, and substitute technologies. So you can think of, like audience shift, right? The Sony executives passed on K-pop Demon Hunters because they couldn't see that their audience was shifting, and K-pop is actually mainstream now, but the executives didn't know about that information. They didn't have their finger on the pulse of this as a potential threat for them. Technical debt, everybody's moving into AI now, but what if you never had the data team, up to speed on being able to leverage those technologies? So these are all things that, on a broad scale, kind of inform what our current context today. Like, it's a good way to just get a read of what's happening in 2025, 2026. And then from that, you can become a lot more intentional about your design and your why, your reason for changing something.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Gianluca, back to you. You introduced, here's the name of the framework here, the Creative Leaders Growth Engine as a winning framework, kind of a hero model in your book around how the world works and how we create change and drive with purpose. Can you walk us through it?
Actually, this is a funny story. I was talking with one of my students, and we were talking about driving change, innovation, etc. And 3 out of the 5 were P's, and he came up with like, oh, your name is Cinque Palmi, you should come with the 5 P's. and then this became a joke, and then I was like, actually, I could do it. So it's a funny story about it.
Started with the challenge, and
Started with the challenge.
Love it.
Beside that, actually, I make a strong distinction when we talk about leadership. There is a lot of confusion between what is management, what is leadership. No, both are extremely important. Not one is better than the other. But if you don't know the difference between what is management and when you are managing, and what is leadership and when you're leading, it's a mess. So if you took from a management perspective, all of us that did marketing, you have the 4 Ps or 3 Ps or 6 Ps depending, price, place, blah, blah, blah. And so I come up with the 5 Ps, which is the changes, when you talk about leadership, it changes the sequence. No? Every marketer starts with product, price, place, depending on which angle. I believe leadership starts with purpose, right? So the core engine is, what's your purpose? And I have a very pragmatic definition of purpose, which is, who do you serve? Who do we serve, right? And hit me up later, I will explain. It's too long of a project. And purpose drives people. People are the ones that actually make the processes. Processes are the ones that make the products, and products is represented and it sustains the practices. Practices are the things that you always do, like that you repeated, the rituals that you do every day, right? Because I've been in many boardrooms where it's like, we are sustainable, we are human-centered, and then somebody walks in and is like, oh, you're an asshole. And I was like, that's not what's written in people-centered. So it's like, okay, so you have a wonderful poster, but then the practice is like, how do you do it? We are a very innovative company, but we do not take risks. And I was like, okay, good. And so I have the arrogance to say that pretty much through my experience, I can identify a problem of a company in one of these 5 buckets or a combination of the 5. And if you go first principle thinking, you end up in one of these things. So if you want to talk about problems, it's a purpose problem, it's a people problem, it's a process problem, it's a product problem, or it's a practice problem, or a combination of.
Excellent. That's a really good diagnostic tool as well, right? To think about. So when we kind of step back and look at what these 2 books, particularly read in combination, present, right? As a compendium to each other. Garki, you start by looking at the external world, right? You're presenting an opportunity for us to see the world in a new way, and to use that as a place to start, right? And Gianluca, you're talking about being, right? How do we show up to understand, and how do we move through that space? How do we connect with purpose, show up to ask who are we serving, and then continue to lead that change from there? In your practices, where does that come from, right? Where is that anchored in a sense of how you saw the world, or where you see the real challenge to start? Where do we start? What's your recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, maybe this has more to do with the. Okay. All right.
I feel like I'm yelling in your.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think maybe for this part, one thing is that a lot of designers aren't actually extroverted or anything like that. So for me, like, the solution was to kind of get everybody's opinion and, have that broad view of what everybody is thinking about these different 6 categories. And once you know, very naturally, I think at least everybody's starting on the same page and you have some alignment there. So for me, the tool is a way to influence the people. And so for me, that was the starting point.
We had this discussion, and I have the opposite starting point. So I go from mindset. So for the better part of my career, my job was to inspire, challenge, and disrupt. And then I cloned this into, actually this is what I do. And so to inspire students to become more creative, and creativity to me is a very interesting, untouchable, intangible element, but actually with the tools you can express that. So, but I start from the top because I said, if you don't change your mindset, and what does it mean to have a creative mindset, which is not artistic, and it's not frivolous, because create comes from the Greek, actually from the Sanskrit, kartar, which means the god of creation, to do, to make, the maker. And so creativity is the activity of creation. There is nothing to do with art, there is nothing to do with frivolous. It's about creating. And a lot of people look at me and they say, but you are an atypical engineer because you're very creative. It's like, engineer means to use your ingenious, like to come up with interesting things. And so the problem is, how do you apply this into, what does it mean to stimulate creativity in others? No? So how do you get them to create? And creativity is about this shift of mindset, and to me this is essential. Shifting our mindset from scarcity to abundance. Because management, business, not enough time, not enough money, not enough talent, not enough people, not enough resources, not enough market, not enough reach. Scarcity mindset. Creativity is infinite. In the creativity mindset, this is why mindset, options are infinite. There is no boundaries how many options, I make this example if I ask, what's 2 plus 2? What's 4? So if I go 2 plus 2 equals question mark, everyone says
One right
4.
answer.
One right answer. If I go question mark plus question mark equals 4, how many answers do we have?
A few more.
No. How many answers do we have? Thank you for the math major here. Round of applause. Infinite answers. So if you know where you're going, if you know what you want to achieve, the way that you can achieve it is infinite. There are so many. Then you can say some are more effective, less effective, more efficient, less efficient. But the options are infinite. And if you want to be very, very sensitive in these very turbulent times we live in, and why creativity to me is so dear, so important. I know for sure war is not the answer. But do we have the courage to find a different answer? Right? So, but we need to teach the mindset. And I think where we collide and agree at the end of the day is in this wonderful in-between, between the mindset, the tools, and the skills that what we are talking centrally throughout our books, right?
Yeah.
So how do you develop these skills of influencing people?
Right,
driving
so
change.
how do the tools help to build a certain skill set, and how does that skill set then translate?
And how does that mindset
Translate
into
to the
this
skill set, yeah.
I mean, it truly is an infinite loop, right? And I think half of the problem is almost identifying where your organization is or where your community is in their process or in the maturity, right? And I think, Ark, you mentioned this earlier. It's like, in a really process-driven organization, how can we spark creativity? How can we create the courage to step forward and bring in that creativity? That's going to be a mindset-led belief in yourself first, while you try to then gain momentum with others, right? And pull them forward. Equally, in a creative organization, how can we create some rigor, or how do we anchor ourselves? In an organization that has no foresight or can't see the world around them, can we create structure so that they feel a little less uncertain, but equally we're asking the right questions, we're provoking the right question, right? And then for those that are just locked and risk adverse, how do we give them the mindset, the bravery, the creativity to step forward? I think you both present an amazing opportunity for us, no matter where we sit in this paradigm, an opportunity to pick up both books, read them side by side, and gain an enormous amount of depth into new ways to solve problems or new ways to think about yourself as the leader solving those problems. I might also suggest as a Christmas gift, for those around you that might need a little bit of a kick in the ass, right? These create really opportunities. They're very easy to read and digest in ways of like kind of inviting you into the conversation and bringing you forward. So to kind of close, before we go to questions, because I really want to save enough time for questions, I kind of want to pivot to the whole experience of writing a book, right? You guys both, from your own practices and experiences, maybe a little bit of envy from my side, right? I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with the ability that you've been able to define and articulate your practice in a really structured way. Do you have any advice or perspective to share for all of us?
You go. Okay, I'll go. Okay, sure. Yeah, so I think maybe for folks who are really curious about the writing process, I think that maybe a lot of people initially think that if you're writing a book, that maybe you're stuck in a room and you're just writing by yourself and all of that. But that was actually not my experience at all, because I actually worked with the design community. I got lots of people to contribute to the work, and it was never a lonely process because, I mean, the design community, like here we are, so we were even talking about writing a third book, like the three of us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, the experience can be whatever you make it to be. You can lock yourself in a room if that's your, thing, but you can also make it a very collaborative process. And that was surprising for me.
Yeah. Brutal. No, I always been writing a lot but I understand that everyone is different. I write to think. I cannot think if I don't write. So I write every day. Not about stuff like I write to make sense of the world because I have a fucked up mind. I don't know. I need to see it, you know?
Yeah.
and I need to connect the dots. And the book came with that spirit, in the sense of my first book was which is called Business Beyond Design. So I got my toes wet in that. That was much easier because it was a book for students. It had a framework. So it was more like, okay, I'm gonna compact my lectures into a book so that I can give it to them, and so then I got the bug, and I was like, ooh, I wonder if I can do more with that. Practical, but this is very personal, so I cannot. I'm a very methodical person, so
An engineer in you.
yeah, so I went like structure, and this is my sections, and how this section connects to the other. The trick or tip that I have, if you ever want to do this, which you shouldn't, by the way, unless you need to, is start from the end. I made this mistake, meaning that I was halfway through the book and I was like, where am I going? It's like, what am I saying? Because the book now is 300 something pages.
Yeah.
It was 700.
Wow.
So I have two
Your
more.
editor loves you.
So I was, but at one point I was like, okay, where am I going? What's the point that I'm trying to make? And so I started writing from the back. I was like, okay, this is what I want to achieve. And then I started recalling and going forward. And by the way, as I write in the first line, this book, to this moment, is a prototype, meaning that if you buy the book, you get into the digital form, and it's his fault. Where is it? It's his fault. Life is a prototype.
It is.
And because of Mike, I was like, oh, I shouldn't do a book. And this book came along because I started publishing section by sections to community, and I said, do you understand this? And most of the time was no. I was like, okay, rewrite. And so it's live, meaning that if you go inside, you can comment, and you was like, this chapter doesn't make sense to me, and I will have a conversation, live conversation, which was like, okay, I'm trying to explain it, and if we come up with a cool thing, then we're gonna change the book.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Co-creation of written work. Fantastic. Very disruptive. Fantastic. So with the time we have left, I have no idea. I didn't even bring a watch.
We're doing really good.
We are? Excellent. I'd love to open up the conversation and create a discussion with everyone else in the room. Do we have a set clear microphone? Should we take one?
No, we share.
Okay.
We are good.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we got a question right here.
Hi, Simon.
Good morning. Just your analogy at the end about beginning at the end. Would you say that it's like a phoenix mentality, rising from the ashes type of mentality? And also, do you let the audience in on the fact that you start at the end? And thirdly, and this kind of relates to the thing that I do, social media over the last couple of years, a lot of trending social media basically gives away the ending at the start to hook you in. Is it a hook for you to begin at the end? Sorry for all the questions.
No, it's okay. I can answer, I try to answer all in one go.
Sorry.
This is specifically for me. I start at the end because I need to build an argument, right? But then I changed the end because through the argument I was like, no, actually I was wrong. So this Friday, Simon was there. This Friday is going to come out a newsletter on Substack. It's called 5 Reasons Why. 5 panni. And the title is 5 Reasons Why I Was Wrong. Because I started from the wrong perspective. As I started this new newsletter, I just started at the beginning of the year, and I met Don Norman, and he looked at me and he said, you're wrong. You are portraying creative leadership in the wrong way. And I had to rethink if it was right, and it took me 2 weeks to think about what he was saying. So the end changed. But it's very useful tool to start at the end because it goes back and then it helps you to reason better. And then you might find another argument that is more compelling than the initial argument. And so you change the end. So you let people in sometimes.
Yep.
Did I answer?
Did he answer? Yeah. Yeah, good. Okay, cool. Another question. Yes?
A question for two speakers. I understand. Like we want to inspire our colleagues or employees or the corporation to be creative, to be innovative, to be thinking outside of the box, right? So we send our employees to like workshops, like trainings, and they are very excited, and then they show their creative side of things, which pretty like they're triggered, they're inspired, but as soon as they went back to their daily tasks, that passion, that fire just died away. How do we make it sustainable? Because we cannot possibly send them to workshop every single one.
Garvey?
Yeah, I think, so that's in part why I designed some of the tools that I did. I think that, how I actually structured the book was around degrees of change. So the initial part, the tools that are there are, like small degrees of change all the way to transforming your organization to have outward impact, such as on sustainability and different things like that. So I think it really depends on where your colleagues are coming from. I think that oftentimes we don't all disagree that change needs to happen. Change absolutely does need to happen. What we disagree on is how much change.
It's a difficult question. I'm guilty of it because I am one of the guys that do the workshops.
You're the fire starter.
And then you go like, oh, and then you call them and it's like, it's been 3 months. How's it going? I was like, no, nothing stick. So the brutal question, I'm sorry, I have to be. The brutal question that you need to ask yourself, if that's the case, is what is the environment doing to your people? So I am I use this strong word. I don't believe in managing people. You can't change people. What's your name? Sorry?
Simone.
Simon is Simon with all these beautiful things and his perks. And Simon, one day on a Friday, will wake up because he stubbed his toes and he's a awful person. And that day we have a meeting with the most important client. He will fuck it up just because he fought with his partner. And he's a mess. So people are messy. And the mess is beautiful because in the mess there is creativity. So you change the environment. You can't change the people. But if you can change an environment so that the people continue this experience, you will solve the problem. You can't send them all to the workshops all the time. Absolutely. You can dedicate 2 hours in a Friday to have what I call the free gift. Wonder box. Get all your people to have objects that either they love or despise in a box, and at lunchtime they pick it up and they say, this product is awful because, this product is amazing because. That 2 hours will change the pace of how do they approach the problem, how do they do the things. And if they say we don't have time, if you don't have time to create something new, you will definitely die out of stagnation.
If I may add to that, from my perspective, I think one of the, when you think about the environment, you think about the cadences of our day-to-day life, you think about the Wonderbox idea of putting like a 2-hour slot into a Friday. I think what often kills creativity is routine. We all know we have to get the things done that we need to get done, right? If you just looked at what you need to get done from a reporting point of view across the entire week, right, that's going to knock out 20% of your job immediately, right, on mundane tasks. It's important to recognize that that is what needs to happen, schedule that time, and just get that stuff done. But the rest of it, we end up just sitting at the exact same desk, next to the exact same colleague, walking to work the exact same way, and we've done nothing to actually stimulate our environment passively, right? We go to the same place for lunch. All of those small little micro changes that you can make in your day actually provoke and inspire different interactions. Bumping into different people creates different cadences, creates different sparks. I'm making it my personal practice not to have a desk at my office, which means that, unfortunately, I sit in the cafe which I hold then meetings randomly with every stakeholder that walks by. It's so effective for my job in order to catch them when they're at their worst, when they're at their best, when they're just need to vent to get something off their chest. My meetings start in the afternoon, and then I work quite late to actually get my focus work done. And that cadence probably is not healthy, right? But it's really, really, really kept me creative in a very fixed paradigm, right? And I think it's really important for us as we create space, we create cadences, and as leaders, we create that culture of norms. So what norms? Is it normal to sit in the same desk? Is it normal to have our stand-ups at the exact same time? Is it normal for us to kind of work these exact fixed hours?
Practices.
Practices, right? And I think that's something that you can provoke around every quarter, just disrupt everything, right? Change it up, mix it up, see if we can we go sit with finance? Oh my God, should we move in this to legal? You know, could we take over a couple desks and just mix it up? Those sorts of things, I think, are micro changes that give people more control, but also provoke creativity.
Those are some really good answers to a really good question from Gianluca and Kate. Garki, what do you have to say about that? Or do you want a question from the audience?
I get a choice.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, let's do another question.
okay, who's got a question for Garki?
Right here, in the middle?
Right here.
I apologize, but this is going to sort of follow up on the last question.
Okay, all good.
Okay, so as a practitioner, as a designer, as a creative, it's one thing to be inspired to learn new tools, to learn new frameworks, and to maybe change your processes and even affect your team around you. But if you have management or business leadership that doesn't understand these frameworks or isn't actually committed to the ideas of creating change in the organization so that you can drive innovation, then it's sort of like, the analogy is like, you know, the industry makes crap and we as consumers get told to recycle our plastic, but our incremental improvements don't really affect the macro organization, right? The problem still exists. So as, you know, consultants also, as leaders, and in my own position, how do we get the C-suite decision makers to get on board if, you know, short of, here's the book, read it. Right?
That's a good start, though.
Can you expand on that?
I can expand on that. So I don't know, like sometimes, you know, with the traces framework and stuff, it's like understanding the context. It's about getting maybe even the executives, like I think one of the groups of people that I wanted to read it were non-design executives for exactly that reason. Because sometimes I just think that, you know, maybe the evidence hasn't been presented in such a way that it makes sense to them. But if you really understand that falling behind in technology is going to be a risk for the business, then, you know, that's one argument that you could make that starts to get their attention. Or you say, like, look, our primary customers before, they didn't really care that much about sustainability. Now we're losing a bunch of customers because they're choosing this other brand that is sustainable. And then you start thinking, well, that's going to hurt our business, so do we need to change? And then we talk about the degrees of change. You know, what then can we change within the business? And you kind of like go through a process with them. So yeah, I think it's like trying to keep it collaborative, trying to use these tools to get the decision makers, to give them enough information to feel like they can make a decision. So that's where I was kind of going at, in that, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yes. I don't like the argument. Confrontation, right?
Yeah.
It's time, I know. These ideas, the C-suite, no. C-suite who? Name, last name, position. What are his metrics? What are his KPIs? Because if you, there are two things. A single person cannot change an entire organization. If you have this mode of operating, it means that your organization is operating this way. The CEO that is insane or the president that is insane is a mirror of a society that allowed that to happen. Yes? Like it or not, that
Or you consented to be in.
or you consented to be,
participate.
okay? So it's only one person. So cultures are made about people. So if you are a design lead and your direct reach of influence changes, you're going to change. Do you have a team?
At the moment, no.
No, but let's say you have a team, okay? Let's say we have a team, and you are the leader of a team of 10, and you're producing objects, the product design. And at one point, all of your 10 people team say, we're not working on Friday. And he was like, I'm the boss, I'm paying your rent, and you have to work on it. And it was like, no, we're not going to work on Friday. But we're going to provide you, what do you need? Oh, I need 10 designs by Friday. And I was like, we can provide that if we provide that by Thursday night, would it be okay for us to not work on Friday? What are you going to say?
Yeah, of course.
Answer. Understand what is the dynamic. Understand what is the KPI. Understand what they want. This is the biggest challenge that I have when I work with CEOs. We need more sales. You need more sales, you need more revenues, you need more profit.
Very different things.
Very different things. I mean, no, you want more sales because you want more profit, or you want more sales for the sake of sales? Because if you want more sales, easy. If you want more profit, different story. If you want to maintain the people, you want to cut the cost. What's the real? Find the real problem. What you are describing is the symptom of the problem. What's the real problem? Maybe the real problem is that you don't have talented people enough to make that change, because it's more comfortable to say, fuck it, I'm going to sit here and just do whatever I'm told. Get my check, by 6:30, I'm out. That's a cultural problem. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Nobody said that leadership and creativity is easy. It's messy, very messy. But it's also delicious.
It is. And I think the element, particularly when you're a one-man band, right? And you're the one person trying to drive change, it is incredibly hard to be able to see the system, right? Organize yourself to be able to, okay, am I doing my stakeholder mapping? Have I done some psychoanalysis of this person to map up their decision-making patterns, what is important to them, and where I can find their motivation? Have I built a stakeholder, an informal team of people like me that are interested in doing those things, right? There's a lot of work to be done in all of this. And I think what we've got here today is two different tools that both crack open or provide a starting place to give you a little bit of organization, a little bit of structure, and to be honest, a lot of confidence around how you show up in the job, how you show up every day and start to pick your way through it, because it's not going to happen ever overnight, right? These are big systemic changes we're talking about, but it's the small things that really add up. And so we've got 5 copies of these, I think, out front that you guys can pick up and take home. Our speakers have been kind enough to actually offer some discounts if you want to pick it up. Both of them have a digital copy as well that you can pick up digitally. And we've got time that we can sit, we can chat more informally, I believe, after this.
Absolutely, we do. Give a big round of applause for the Rebellious Day, because, of course, there is a present, and it is presented by Nick. Give Nick one more big round of applause.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So these are one of the Christmas ornaments that I designed last year. It's a Hong Kong theme. So I usually do paper cutting, but these ones are made of stainless steel. So it's on your tree or on your desk.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.